Hiking strengthens the body. It energizes the soul. It is perhaps the most intimate way to experience the length and breadth of the American landscape. More and more people in America are hiking. Today, there are 45 million of us. Hiking trails give us a chance to exercise and to breathe in the sights and smells of nature. We grow stronger just being out here. Hiking strengthens our immune system. It enhances our creative powers. It gives us a positive attitude by boosting serotonin. It builds our core muscles. Hiking lowers our blood pressure and burns up calories. It increases bone density. I sleep better after a hike. Hiking is democratic because, for one thing, it's inexpensive. Anyone can do it if they can place one foot in front of the other. Whether it's a day hike or a long journey into the wilderness, America's scenic trails can be enjoyed by everyone.
The United States staked a claim to foot trails with the National Trail System Act of 1968. Two things were set in motion. One was the acquisition of a continuous right-of-way for the Appalachian Trail, and the other was the establishment of a whole new system of national scenic trails, the AT being the first.
In the case of the Appalachian Trail, 2/3 of it was open to hikers. The other 700 miles had to be bought. Over 2,500 separate parcels. Things soon bogged down, but in 1978, Congress held oversight hearings again, switching the purchasing job from the states to the U.S. Park Service. The acquisition took 30 years, but once it was done, the AT became the model of success, a long, unbroken footpath secured for all time. Of the additional scenic trails, there remains an ongoing challenge. 25% of the total treadway has never been purchased. If Congress doesn't grant the use of eminent domain, America will have a system of broken trails. With 45 million hikers in America today, we can say that our government had great foresight in establishing our national scenic trails. But is a chain with missing links really a chain? When the interstate highway system was being created in the 1950s, drivers had to sometimes exit onto state roads and then back onto completed segments of the interstate. This didn't seem so bad because people knew the entire highway was slated for completion. After all, this was America, and roads were important. It didn't make sense to have gaps in our highways. So why would we be satisfied with gaps in our national scenic trails?
Backpackers want the option of hiking the entire length of a trail or only a small section of it. They want trails without gaps, just as a chain needs all its links. With gaps, hikers can't count on hiking through. Today, there are more and more through hikers.
In 1948, Earl Schaefer became the first to hike all 2,190 miles of the Appalachian Trail. Well, now we have 11 scenic trails to choose from, but still, only the AT is fully protected by government ownership. The problem is that nearly all our scenic trails, with the major exception of the AT, are broken into segments with privately owned stretches that may or may not be open to hikers. Shouldn't a great country like America have continuous trails, just like it has continuous railways, highways, pipelines? Eminent domain is the way to close the gaps. Our government knows how to do this. Today, the Pacific Crest Trail is 90% secure. This should be our next target for completion, but Congress has not acted yet. The Florida Trail is 73% complete, still requiring 300 miles of paved roadwalks, but Congress has not stepped up to complete for the nation the only winter footpath free of snow. These and other issues cry out for a congressional oversight hearing, something we have not done since 1978. One issue to correct is the uneven allocation of funds to support these trails. Another is the question of which trails should qualify as national scenic trails. The Not Just Trace Trail, for example, is only 60 miles long, and it's broken into 5 discontinuous segments. Should this trail be replaced with another one more deserving? Clearly, our scenic trail system needs oversight now. I'd love to have this place all to myself. But here in a democracy, we do a lot of things for the common good. Our best scenic lands are too important for one landowner. So we create national parks and national trails so everyone can enjoy them. They're part of our national heritage. Compared to other forms of outdoor recreation, trails are a bargain. Just think about maintaining a golf course or a sailboat. You're dropping money all the time. Not so with a hiking path. Sure, signs and tree blazes have to be renewed from time to time, but volunteers take care of that. Every trail has its own volunteer clubs. Members take pride in working on their section of the trail. For the money, trails are the best buy in outdoor recreation America can provide. Volunteer hours spent on maintaining our national scenic trails have risen dramatically over the past 25 years, showing the growing demand for trails. Total volunteer hours in 1995 were 370,000, but in 2019, it was nearly 1 million. This is about $40 million worth of free labor every year. But how do we close the gaps in America's iconic trails and achieve the continuity we have with the Appalachian Trail? Eventually, some out parcels come up for sale and can be purchased, but most do not. In the case of highways, schools, military bases, and nearly everything else federal and local governments build, the land is acquired by eminent domain. Fair compensation must be paid in return, of course, as required by the Fifth Amendment of the Bill of Rights. Our founders believed that public use supersedes the needs of individuals. Once a road or a trail is laid out and several pieces are acquired, the die is cast. The pieces that adjoin them must then be purchased. That's the reason creating a corridor is so difficult. Only eminent domain can accomplish this because some landowners will always hold out. However, from past experience, only about 16% of a right-of-way acquisition will require the use of eminent domain.
How many generations of Americans will be deprived of completed trails before scenic trails are deemed as important as highways? We believe Congress must use eminent domain to complete our preeminent trails.
Let's try to sum this up. The big question we have to ask is, do we want continuity in our national trail system? A trail with gaps is like an interstate with gaps. Acquisition without eminent domain has been moving too slowly. It doesn't get the job done. In trying to create continuous trails, our clubs have already picked the ripe fruit. Adding trail miles now through negotiations is coming to a standstill. Recently, we saw that the Pacific Crest Trail Association spent $2.5 million on land acquisition. For that large sum, they secured less than 2 miles of new treadway. The rest went for scenic overlooks. The Ice Age Trail added 10 miles that year, but still has 500 miles to go. The Florida Trail added over 30 miles recently, but 2 years earlier had 47 miles taken away. Eminent domain can solve all of this. The other big issue is oversight at the congressional level. We haven't had a hearing in 42 years, and the trail system is suffering without it. Hearings would bring uniformity in how we define our trails, how we select our trails, and how we spend the money that is allocated for our trails. America should have a great system of scenic trails for citizens and foreign visitors. Hiking trails are an inexpensive and democratic contribution to society. They promote good health and a sense of well-being. Acquiring footpaths is not something nonprofits, clubs, and volunteers can do by themselves. Congress has the authority. Provide clubs with a right-of-way and they'll do the rest. It's a partnership between citizens and the federal government that we can be proud of.
We need to fix the gaps, and here's how you can help. 1. Go to hikingtrailsinamerica.org to count yourself as one of us. We'll tell Congress for all of us that we want an oversight hearing to plead our case to fix the gaps in our trails. And 2, while you're there, pick up a copy of Broken Promise, The Plight of Our National Trails. This book gives you all the facts you need and is available on the website. Let's work together to fix America's broken national scenic trails.